All right, this is Monday, and I took 2 trades earlier today on my system. Let me show you what those were. I took this right here, which was this close below support. It created a top wick. My sell stop was placed below the previous candle, and then it dropped. And so I got a 1 to 1.5 on that. And I took another one, which was on the next candle, where it came back down here on the 30-minute. It closed this next 15-minute. Let me see here. It closed bullish. I took half risk on this because it didn't have a huge top wick, and I don't like to trade candles that don't have huge top wicks. However, it did a thing that I've been testing where it created this top wick, broke the high, got the buyers in, came back down here, created a bottom wick, and then I put my buy stop at the top because if it breaks it, it has a higher probability. I got in. Since it was a counter trend trade, I got out pretty quickly. So for today, I am going to be chatting through the process of understanding how to really focus on higher time frames versus lower time frames. I think this is something that once I learned, it really helped me kind of put all of the pieces together for me. So many times I would get focused just on a lower time frame because I like to scalp, that I didn't really tie in the higher time frames and where they're going. And once I started to do that, it really helped me improve my trading. It also helped me not take trades that I might have otherwise that would have been losing trades. So I think that is something that no matter what your edge is, it's important that you look to that to understand higher time frame versus lower time frame. So when I get to the charts, I'm always first starting at the higher time frames. And so when I come here, I'm going to look at the daily and I'm going to see where the daily is headed and what it's been doing. So as you can see here, the previous day, last week, it closed super bearish, okay? Kind of filled this range. And so as you can see here, it's rejected quite a bit. So this daily candle is most likely going to have a pretty big direction potentially where price will go. If price does this again where it closes pretty strong bullish, then we have a high probability that it could come back up because it's rejected out of here. But it's also up here rejected here. So if this closes bearish in the day, and it's a Monday, so I don't have to be super aggressive here, then you can see that it probably will set the tone potentially to go back down here. Again, Bryce can do whatever it wants, but I'm playing off of probabilities. Okay, so I look at the daily chart. I can see that there's clean traffic to the left here. If it goes back down, if it comes back up here and breaks its high, it's got some nice, really clean traffic. And so typically what I also see is when you have these long stretches is price has a high probability at some point to come back up halfway through the range here to kind of feel that. So it wouldn't shock me if price came back up here the next day or two to kind of fill some of this range before crashing back down again if that's what it wanted to do. Okay, so the 4 hour is really where I play off of. And so if I'm in a session where the 4 hour doesn't really have a lot of direction, unless I have really A+ setups, which I did, the first trade I had is a very strict A+ setup. When I see that, it doesn't matter if it's a Monday, it's a Friday, I take that trade. And what I mean by that, trade right here earlier, it was this one. When I see this trade right here, okay, this, you have a bearish closer and then it closes bullish with this type of candle, this trigger candle, I'm in, no question at all. Now, since it's a Monday, I'm not going to go super aggressive on my risk because I don't want to start super aggressive on a Monday and go negative. So what I'd like to do is start like with 1 to 2%. This is me personally. What you do on your end is your financial responsibility and your decision, but this is what I have found works for me. So this is not financial advice. Take your own trading under your own account and make your own decisions for your own system and trading. For me, what I like to do is start a little bit lesser on the percentages. Of course, you want to have an edge that statistically can work. Okay. When I see this closed back below the range, created a top wick, came back down here, and once it broke this, I knew it was going to fill this wick, so I took partials here, then I let it run, and then I closed out right here. I see this often, doesn't always come down to the bottom here, so I typically close out, right before. Okay, so price now is doing something strange. So this is what you got going on when it comes to it. Let's check out news here. Let's go to Forex Factory and see if we have a news event. I didn't see one earlier, but Didn't think we had one. So price is doing its own thing here. So there you go. So that's why that's not in my system. And so yeah, this is pretty choppy range. So for me to take another trade today, I'm most likely going to have to see price close out of this range. So I've got 26 more minutes before my first trading session of the day closes out. So it would need to close above here or below here. Now, what I would love to see is maybe this 15-minute candle kind of comes up here, closes here. Then the next one closes bearish below this range here. I probably would have to close down below here. But look at all this clean traffic. If it closed below here, man, I'm in like Donkey Kong. Now, if it closes above, this is pretty choppy over here. I wouldn't be super aggressive in trading this. So, you've got a lot of choppiness over here if you look at all this up here. So I probably wouldn't be super aggressive in trading that. So, yeah. Let's see if I play with this a little bit. Okay, there we go. So, yeah, if price closed above here, let me see if I can get my horizontal lines in here using the edge pad today. Love the edge pad. Created it for trading, and it just, we keep working on it. It keeps getting better. It's given me new confidence and be able to grow my personal account to the levels that I want to grow it. So as you can see, this range is really choppy. Some people like to trade stuff like this, but I don't. So as you can see here, this is me higher time frame correlation versus lower time frame correlation. So the more that you spend time looking at how they work together, it really helps you. So that's why I'm constantly going back to the 4 hour and saying, okay, where's the 4 hours? Kind of trading in this range. This current 4 hour has created a bottom wick. If it breaks the top of this, it has a high likelihood that it could fill this, right? And this candle could close pretty bullish above here even. But right now, as you can see here, this is kind of undecided where it's at, right? This closed bullish, but not all that great. It's kind of like it was bullish, and then it came back down here, and then the buyers and the sellers just couldn't really agree, so they agreed that it was just kind of a semi-positive / bearish candle. So it's more bullish than it is bearish, but it wasn't strong bullish like this one or strong bearish like this one. Okay, so what I like to do is say, okay, in the next 2.5 hours, where does this candle have a higher likelihood to go? So right now, because it has already created a bottom wick and doesn't really have that much of a top wick. Now, it could still come back down here and crash all the way down. I've seen it do that. To me, I'm having potentially more of a bullish bias on this than I would bearish, although, again, it's kind of undecided. So that means I'm going to be a little bit more hesitant to look at it. So at the 1 hour, I kind of see where it's trading. Well, it's trading in this range again. This 1 hour has 21 minutes. As you can see here, this 1 hour is kind of undecided as well. This is a semi not great candle. It's undecided. So this 4 hour for me will kind of set the direction in the next 20 minutes, okay, what the next hour will be. Now, I don't trade the next hour. I don't have a lot of great success during that hour, so I go to the gym and do other stuff. But yeah, if I were, then if this candle closed above here, now this is kind of choppy in here, so I would be it would have to be during high times of volume for me to trade the range over here because it's pretty choppy. If we're after market open, New York open, and then at the 1 hour close, so let's say it's chopped around until that time, and then at 7:15, 7:30, 9:30 Eastern, if you will, yeah, I would take, if it created a bottom wick, I would take that trade to the top, okay? But I'd also trade it down to the bottom. Let's say price comes back up here, creates a 4 hour top wick, and then it starts coming back down here. Would I trade it under this range to the bottom to fill these wicks? Absolutely. So higher time frame. I'm looking at the 4 hour. I like to see the direction of where the 4 hour is going. It really sets the tone of the day. On any given day, I'm open to buys and sells. Obviously, I have an overall bias, and I plan my trade based upon that session. If price changes and it closes bullish or bearish strongly in one way, then I go. I like to really look at the 30 minutes chopping around. So the higher time frame is confirming what the higher time frame says, which is price really doesn't know where it wants to go. It's just kind of choppy, and price hasn't really decided. Now, this 30-minute is closing bullish. It has no bottom wick here on this 30 minutes. So one of two things. Price is so bullish that it didn't have chance to create a bottom wick. But as you can see, 80-ish% of all candles have a bottom and a top wick. That this is price just doing something weird, and I'm just not going to play this. I don't know when to get in on this. Like this has this trigger candle for me. The trigger candle is a setup candle for my next trade. Created no bottom wick. If this 15-minute closes back above here in the range like this, then I'm going to have to probably wait for a break and retest for it to come back up here. So like I said again, I don't trade after in the next 20 minutes. So higher time frame correlations. Now, if the higher time frame is undecided, but I have an A+ setup, then I'll still take that. So that's why I took this here, right? This setup here, this is, if I see this even within a range during higher times of volume or during the time that I know how, I take it. And as you can see, it won. So that is where I'm at. So higher time frame, lower time frame confirmations. It's constantly looking. Now, sometimes you can have, if they're your trading platform, you can have multiple of these time frames open. Some people like to trade on the 5-minute. And even if I were to trade on the 5-minute, which I don't, it's too busy for me. At some point, I potentially would like to create a scalping strategy that does that. If you go back and watch the other videos where I created the 5 things that every trader needs in order to be successful, one is finding an edge that works for you. Okay? And see, this is sometimes you just don't catch trades. I mean, there's no way that I would have been able to guess this trade based upon my system. And guess is not the right word. Been able to enter a trade with higher probability because I don't know when that's going to happen. Now, on the 4-hour is the only place that I could have potentially taken this trade, okay? But I don't enter in on the 4-hour candle, right? Because it created a bottom wick, and I said if it breaks its top, then, or at the high, it's going to go fill this wick, which it did, and it's going to come back up here. So if I were kind of a longer term trader, I could have traded this 4-hour candle, but since I really have more entries down here, then I wasn't going to enter this. And I've done that in the past, but that's not my system. And so the higher time frame was kind of saying, hey, it could be bullish, which that was my bias for this video and session. For my setups, there was nothing in terms of the trigger candle that said, okay, this is something that you want to take. So what that would have looked like is if this 15-minute would have created a bottom wick and then closed out here. The next 15-minute creates a bottom wick, closes bullish, right here in this range. Then the next one, maybe it closes bearish, kind of like the reverse of what I had here, then I'm in that to trade this range. So price has to form on the lower time frames to match what the higher time frame is going to be for me to have higher probability. And when my higher time frames stack up with my lower time frames, then my probabilities stack even higher in my favor. So if I were to just taken this on the 4-hour, why it doesn't have the higher probability for me? Because my entry areas, which is I'm typically entering on the 30 or the 15-minute, this looked undecided, and I didn't have any sort of chart pattern that I've seen and recognized and in my playbook. And I'm learning to just stick to my playbook, so I'm better not taking any trades on this than taking trades, so I protect my capital. So there you go, higher time frame versus lower time frames. And then, of course, I love using the edge pad, right? This has given me more confidence to trade my edge. And so you don't have to trade my edge, right? My edge isn't your edge. Like I said, join a community, find a mentor. I am not here to be your mentor. I'm here to show you a tool if you feel like it could work for you, because it's working for me, and I believe it can work for a lot of other people, that could give you potential advantage to help you refine your current edge or find your edge so you can, if you want, become a profitable trader potentially. I mean, there are no guarantees to that in life. There are probabilities, if you will, that they could stack up in your favor if you do the actions and you live the life that allow you to do that and have the probability mindset. So there you have it. There's my session for the day. Higher time frame versus lower time frames, knowing about the edge pad, being able to come over here and set your buy or sell stop. I just love this. You can choose market or a limit order or a stop, right? And I can come in here and I can place my brackets and I can see what I'm risking before I enter the trade. And even if price hits this, I'm not in, because I actually have to confirm the buy stop. And once I do that, then it locks it on the screen. Then it allows me to take out partials. Okay, I can set where I can have a partial set. Once it's hit, I can move my stop loss to break even, and I can just have better trade management overall. And so having the right tool for me is essential to help me to refine my edge. Having the right tools to do any job makes the job more effective and more efficient, and that's why I created the edge pad. That's why I believe it's a tool that can potentially help other traders if they want to refine theirs. All right, this is One Shot over and out.